Okay. It's 7 o'clock.
We can change the world now.
Okay, so we're gonna start recording now at 7 o'clock.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. As a preliminary matter, this is Peter Collins. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Amanda Amory. I don't hear anything from her. Captain DeAndre or Sergeant Gunnison? Okay. Betsy Doherty.
Yes.
She's here. Okay. Lisa Labossiere.
Yes.
Bill Nelson.
Here.
Michael Pica.
Present.
Ken Polito. Don't see him. Okay. And Sergeant Vitos. Okay. Not on yet. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Angela Snell.
Present.
Jessica Robakis.
Present.
And Jacqueline Burmeister.
Present.
All right. Got that going. Also, Barbara Kickham, you're with us?
Yes, I'm here. I just muted.
Perfect. No one mutes Barbara. All right. This open meeting of the Lake Quinisigamond Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Senate Bill 2475, signed into law by Governor Baker on June 16, 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GI Chapter 30A, Section 18. This meeting of the Lake Quinisigamond Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Lake Quinisigamond Commission is convening by Google Meet, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please be sure to press *6 to mute your device. The meeting will feature a public comment section, but do we have anyone for public comment tonight? So no. So we probably won't have any public comment. You could have if you had signed up. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So that said, on with the show. And we call to order. So the first order of business is to the vote to appoint the LQC officers for the calendar year of 2022. So do I have any nominations? I guess we'll start with the chair.
I'd like to nominate Peter Collins to be the chair again.
Okay. Pardon me?
I second it.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor, we're going to go through a roll call vote. Actually, before we do this, I guess we'll go on to the second part of it. Michael Pica.
Aye.
Okay. Betsy Doherty.
Aye.
Lisa Labossiere.
Aye.
And Bill Nelson.
Aye.
Okay. Voted unanimous. And for the second nomination, I just want to put this out there. I want to do the chair this year. I'm willing to do the chair this year, but I would like to start to wind down. We've got a lot of great things accomplished, but it may be a good time to have someone else do it as well. So if there is anyone interested, probably the best thing we could do is to put that person in as vice chair this particular year, and we can work closely together, and you can kind of take over in the next if you so wanted to do that next year, you can take over in the next calendar year. So is anyone interested in maybe stepping up to do the chair in 2023? Okay, not seeing anybody. I'm going to nominate Michael Pica for vice chair. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor, I'm gonna go through the list again. Peter Collins, I vote yes. Mr. Pica, can you vote for yourself?
I don't know if I can.
All right. Betsy Doherty.
Aye.
Okay. Lisa Labossiere.
Aye.
Bill Nelson.
Aye.
Okay. And the other officer there is the treasurer, which we are going to nominate someone from the Shrewsbury PD. Or who's actually doing that this year, Angela?
Well, I mean, we've been doing it because it's all through the town accountant office. So
Okay. Is that so?
I don't know if you
So
technically
treasurer
need
isn't
a
really an
treasurer.
officer. This really isn't an officer anymore.
Right.
Okay, then we can move right along. The next thing is to review and act on the acceptance of the minutes of the November 2021 meeting minutes. So have we got those? Did we get me?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't finish them.
Okay,
I'll
well,
have,
that's okay, Jessica. Okay, no problem. All right, so we don't need to do that. Review and approval of bills and expenses. What do we have?
Okay, since we last met in November, we've had 2 invoices. One is an invoice for ESS. It was $768. It was for the Half Moon Bay Prosilicor pilot study.
Yep.
The second one was Paget Environmental Services. It was $2,805 for the rare plant survey.
Also in Half Moon too, right? Oh,
Yes.
well, actually in the two control areas. Okay. So I guess, is there a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion. I thought we might have already done that, Mr. Chair, but if not, let me make a motion to approve those expenses.
Okay. Did we pay those expenses already, Angela, or are we waiting for a vote?
I think some of these might have overlapped with our last meeting, so we might have already paid them, to be
Okay.
honest with you. But
I think Michael's right. I think, as I recall, we approved it all.
we might have approved them, but we've now paid them. So
Okay.
I usually like to at least report on what's been paid. So.
Okay. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I just wanted to, so we don't need to vote. I guess is
Right.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Never mind. Well, that's good, and I hope we can move that up as for this year as well. And sorry.
Well, there's one other expense for
Oh, I'm sorry.
considered as a budget item for this year.
Yes.
So currently we're paying an admin from the town of Shrewsbury DPW to do the minutes for us and attend the meetings. But we'd like to be able to have someone be able to do the transcribing of the minutes outside of the work week. So I'm proposing that I would hire somebody separate from a town staff person that would come to the meetings, do the minutes, and also transcribe them. So it would be an additional like $600 that you would pay throughout the year over what you're already paying for admins to be at the meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve what Angela had noted, and that we can't, rely upon the town's largesse to do business of ours, and it's just a reality. So I'd make a motion that we approve the $600 expense. Now, the point is, who would find that person? Angela, would you help us find that individual?
Yeah, because they would be on the town of Shrewsbury payroll. So we will put an ad out and solicit,
Okay.
and we will handle all that.
Okay. Well, that motion I made then stands. I don't know if anybody wants to second it, Mr. Chair. That's your
Okay.
business.
Thank you. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Okay, thank you, Betsy. So it's been moved and seconded, and I'll go through the thing. Peter Collins, I vote aye. Michael Pica,
Aye.
Betsy Doherty,
Aye.
Amanda Emery,
Aye.
Lisa Labossiere,
Aye.
Bill Nelson.
Aye.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
could I request, do we have a budget?
I don't have a budget for you tonight. I will have one for the next meeting, or before
Okay,
the next meeting, actually. Yeah.
Great.
Good question, though. And the next item on the agenda, commissioners' reports. So I'm going to defer my report, except that I will say one thing. This is a kind of on a recreational side, that I got to go skating a couple of times on the lake. Beautiful pond ice. It was beautiful. Wasn't quite all frozen like it was last year in February, where we could skate for almost the length of the pond, but it was really, really nice. So that was a great thing. I think we're going to have a storm this weekend, so unless someone has their snowblower down by the shoreline, it's going to be all like little rinks after this. But the last weekend, you could basically go anywhere you wanted in Flint Pond, essentially, and almost anywhere you want in Flint Pond. I do want to bring this up, is I saw an ice fisherman. This is actually true, out in front of my house, and probably in the middle of the pond, which is, I'm going to say, 1,000 feet or so, or maybe a little bit more, 1,500 feet from any place on shore in Flint Pond. And the water was open, and there was literally an ice fisherman standing on the edge of the ice fishing with a pole. Into the open water. So I would caution anyone who's out on the ice like that, and with all deference to everyone's experience and being on the ice and all this, is that's an extremely dangerous thing to do for two reasons. One, you could slip and fall and go into the ice into the water pretty easy. The ice right there could break, and it could throw you into the water whether you slip or not. And but most importantly, it's going to be it's going to be a while before anyone gets to you if you do fall on the ice. If you plan on doing something like that, wear a vest or something out there to help save your life. Otherwise, it's a life-threatening event. So I'll put my 2 cents worth in that, but I'll defer on to the next commissioner, Mr. Pica.
Well, let me just reiterate that, Mr. Chair. And as everybody who is alive, who lives near any waterways, nobody is going to give any credence to say, oh, the ice is safe. No, we're not about to do that as the commission, nor does anybody do that in general. I mean, it's the use of the ice is at your own judgment and your own liability. Yeah, there have been sections of the lake that have frozen over, safe enough for people to go. And when I say people to go, multiple people to be on say a cove or a pond, to be ice fishing, running four-wheel ATVs at the same time, ice skating, having fires, this and that. And presumptively after it snows, there'll probably, as seasonally there typically is, be a bunch of snowmobiles out on the ice, and again, that's at their own discretion, their own use, and their own liability. So let me just say that. Because also there are springs that come up from the bottom that will make sections of ice seemingly safe, but may only have a skim coat. So people need to be aware of things like that. No one has any control over that. So just be aware. Number two, Mr. Chittum. To move on, as recently as a couple of days ago, I did see some bald eagles flying over the lake in the area where they've nested for the past few years, so they still seem to be around, and presumptively there'll probably be another season of eaglets and the like, which is nice to see. Definitely, as I've lived on the lake for a number of years, this winter has been milder. The ice is set up later. We obviously haven't had to date some of the larger storms that we might typically see. But again, if we get a 6 to 18 inch snowstorm, the whole lake will look white and it'll appear safe. But again, the use of the ice is at one's own judgment, discretion, and liability. Other than that, Mr. Chair, I really have nothing else at the moment to report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pica. I'm going to go down to Betsy. And
Hi.
if
So,
you
Pete-
don't want to chime in together, that's fine with me too. If you get
Sure. Well, when you brought up the issue with contributions to the treating for the invasive aquatics, it just lined up with our budget talk at our next conservation meeting. So in advance of that, I kind of sent an email to everybody on the commission saying Shrewsbury was contributing $30,000. What could we do? And gratefully, Talia Cameron, our conservation agent, she looked into it and found out that we did have funds in our bylaw fees fund. And although we can't contribute $30,000 a year, we can make it a line item budget renewable annually. And all you need to do is just invoice us and then give an annual report on the work that was done. So it's a start. It's not, I know what you asked for, but 5,000 is part of the way there.
That's much appreciated. When I was in front of Grafton a few years ago, basically I said to him, I'm coming here with my hat in my hand, asking for these contributions, and at the time the selectmen, which was the board I was referring to, although I met with conservation then too, and the finance committee, and there was a willingness in the town to do something at that point. And we had pulled back actually on our side just because we had to straighten some stuff out with the charter, and the climate kind of changed the next few years. So I'm glad to see that it's come around again. We really appreciate your efforts.
Yeah. I think the deal breaker too. Yeah, the deal breaker. What really helped is how you commented that although we have a small portion, we have the most dense portion of invasive aquatics. And I think that was really what got people's attention. So having that information from you was really valuable, and I appreciate that as well.
Okay. Perfect.
All from Grafton.
Yep. Well, we appreciate it. Please extend our thanks to the board.
I will.
And that is something we should send the invoice out now, I guess, right? Just so.
Yes. At your earliest convenience, that would be great.
Okay. Angela will be at the town offices tomorrow morning at 6:30.
7 a.m.
Yes.
I think.
She likes to hand deliver things because you can't trust the post office, I guess. So.
Yes. Thank you very much.
We're busy with Amazon. Thank you very much. Mr. Nelson.
I just want to repeat what has been said. I think we should really, on the commission, thank Betsy Doherty and the Grafton Conservation Commission for stepping forward and be willing to provide some financial help with treating the weed problem in Flint Pond. They haven't really done this before, so this was very good work on Betsy's part, and also with the Conservation Commission willing to go along almost unanimously to help support this problem. So I really think we should give them a hand on that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I add a comment? This is
Sure.
Michael Pica. With the large apartment complex that's being built, I think it's going to be called Edgemere Crossing or Edgemere Landing, with notably a couple buildings behind what's to be Market Basket, which is pretty much going to be on the shoreline of, I believe, Flint Pond there, right? There's going to be obviously more public interest when those large apartment buildings get occupied. It's inevitable those people are going to look at the lake and they're going to be saying, oh, gee, this is great. And who knows what they want to do in terms of being able to access and utilize the lake in that pond area. So I just see there being, with more people living by the water's edge in that area, more interest in the lake. Who knows, maybe we can get them involved in some lake actions in the future as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, can I comment? I'd like to second that. There
Yep.
seems to be some interest there with regards to the Flint Pond. So I definitely think the commission should be looking to see if we could get additional help from them, as Michael's suggesting.
Okay. It's a good thought, I guess.
Well, I could see in the future, Mr. Chair, if I could, that the people who live there will say, well, gee, because I think they're going to have a community house and this and that. They might say, oh, well, we should clear the shoreline so we can have a beach area where people could, sit and, hang out. And then the next thing is, gee, they want to clean the water in front of that beach area so that they can maybe utilize it. So one thing may lead to another there. I'm just thinking and looking into the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, to be frank, I'd like nothing more than to be able to put a beach area down there. I doubt anyone will want to dive into that part of Flint Pond, but there are some things, and one of the things with the CPC project we're doing over there will help us identify how realistic and what we need to do to be able to pull something like that off to make that a little bit more usable from that kind of recreation. You can still use it for fishing. I paddleboard over there all the time. The great thing about that section of Flint Pond and some of the stuff in Round Pond as well is it is the last area that's not really inhabited. It's the most natural part of the lake we have over there. And it's kind of nice because there's a lot of wildlife and plant life and stuff you don't see in other parts of the lake. So that's a cool thing. And to my understanding, and I could be wrong, and if anyone knows better, please let me know, that no one on the project during the conservation phase of that really addressed the waterfront, like using the waterfront. There was nothing talking about docks or a walkway down there or taking down any trees, to tell you the truth. So if someone would to decide to do that, I think they would go through that process first as well. It would be a good thing. I can't imagine living, having a dwelling right there that you wouldn't want that, but that's just me. But who knows? I do also hope two things. I hope about the commercial side of that project. One is that they don't build it like White City and they put all the services and the butt end of it next to the lake. I really hope that they're going to be wiser than that and leave that open, especially for restaurants that could be a beautiful attraction for them. And secondly, I hope they put a Starbucks over there. So those are my two comments on the Edgemere Crossing. It'd be convenient for me. And build a bridge across that part of Flint Pond so I don't have to walk on Route 20. So is that all for Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Report. Okay, thank you very much. And Ken, Bill, rather, I want to make I want to also thank you for all the advocacy you've done on Grafton as well. So it's been both. You look at the money we've gotten from Grafton, in the last 12 months or so, it's $22,000. So that's how I'm kind of looking at the whole thing, and it's helping to advance and make the lake better than we found it. Okay, Amanda, do you have a report?
I do not have a report.
Okay, thank you. And Lisa Bossier?
No report.
No report. Okay, so thank you. And for the next item on the agenda is to set the rates for the 2022 dock fees and dock application fees. This comes up every every year at this point in the year to kind of get this going. We want to get that part of it set up early so we can get the renewal notices out there with the proper information on it. In the past, we have, basically raised the fees $5 a year, I think is what we kind of said, instead of doing a percentage, because it's, harder to calculate. And, again, to reiterate this, and not to sound like a broken record every year, but one of the deals we signed, the deals with the devil we signed to get the funding we did from Shrewsbury, and we also talked about this on the Worcester side too when I met with the city manager, and also with the Grafton Selectmen, that we would bring our dock fees up to a more equal level for what the towns were contributing as well. The appropriations from any community is based on the entire tax base of the community. So, in effect, people, that live around Grafton Common are pitching in for that $5,000. I think what the communities were saying is that the people that live on the lake should also, help us boost that up, because they're the ones that really enjoy the lake the most. So that's kind of where we are. I think the fee this year is $45 where we are currently, 2021.
Residential, Mr. Chair?
Yes, residential.
I think it's 40.
40. So that's what it is. That's what it was in 2022.
Yeah, the dock fee for 21 was $40, and then a
Residential?
commercial was 100.
So what we're asking for is to raise the residential rate to 45 and the commercial rate to 105. Is that what? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So is there a motion or is there any
Chair, Mr. Chair, can I make a comment first?
Sure.
If my memory serves me right, it was 3 years ago that we had the original discussion on this, where it was mentioned that the dock fees really needed to be doubled. And after quite a bit of discussion, in particular talking about the problem the law enforcement was having with collecting the fees from people who did not pay them, we more or less came to a conclusion of maybe we should do this over a period of 5 years, raising it $5 for each of the fees for a resident for the next 5 years, which we've done, I believe, for the past 3. And so I just wanted to bring this out so those people who weren't members of the commission at that time know a little bit about the history. So what you're proposing is consistent with what we had decided 3 years ago. And that doesn't mean, of course, if the towns want it to go up starting after next year, we can't raise it to a larger percentage, but we're being consistent with what we have said for the last 3 years. And that was just the comment I wanted to make.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
with the issues that we discussed last year about, was it Chapter 90?
Chapter 91.
Chapter
Yes.
91?
Yeah.
Is that gonna come to fruition this year? Or there's a fee involved with that, isn't there?
Yes. So that would be a additional fee that I guess we kind of have to figure that out, because I think the last discussion I remember on having on this was something about morphing the two permits in together, which I think is probably a prudent thing to do. And that I'm hoping that we can get some of that accomplished this spring. I hope we can get it all accomplished this spring, actually, and get onto the local permit program so that the Lake Commission, the Quinisigamond Lake Commission, does in fact administer and control that, and all those proceeds will be coming to the commission. So that'll be a boost for us, and that'll probably get us real close to where we need to be, and within that 5-year time frame. So I'm hoping that that'll go. But to answer your question directly, there will be an additional fee that the state requires.
To the 45.
Additional to the 45.
The 45. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments? Okay, so if there's not, I'll take a motion.
I will make a motion that we raise the dock fees for the individual dock and boats, the $5 we mentioned, and for the commercial, the number that you mentioned, Peter, and I've forgotten right now.
105.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
This is Piker.
Okay. Thank you. And we're going to move on to the roll call vote. Peter Collins, aye. Michael Pica.
Aye.
Okay. Betsy Doherty.
Aye.
Amanda Amory.
Aye.
Lisa Labossiere.
Aye.
And Bill Nelson.
Aye.
Okay. Voted unanimously. Thank you. And update on the lake management program. Planning, I guess. Discuss the permitting drawdown at Newton Pond. So I was really hoping to accomplish that last year to start the drawdown. I still think that's a prudent thing to do on Newton Pond. I think Newton Pond's is a pretty near perfect place to do a drawdown because of its geography over there. So I think it'll be very effective to do that. Yeah, we just have to get through the permitting process. We got through the permitting process of the invasive chemical treatments, and now we need to go through the drawdown. The good news is once we get through the permitting process, that part of our invasive weed management plan doesn't really cost a whole bunch because it's just basically, raising taking the boards out of the dam, which is controlled by the town. So is that DPW? Is that conservation? That's conservation owns that, right?
Yeah, it's conservation land.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll coordinate with those folks to put that down. They'll obviously be aware of what we're doing because they got to approve the permitting. So, and we'll have to go through Boylston. So hopefully that won't turn into 3 months. But this is a little bit more rigorous process than chemical treatment, believe it or not. And they really, DEP really is stringent on what you can and cannot do in those kinds of situations. So it's going to take a little bit of the time. Right now, we have a quote from ESS, who does other work for us, for I think it's $2,500 or $2,600, sorry, to get through the permitting process for us. So they will go in there and handle it and deal with all we still have to do some work, obviously, and pay fees to the application fees and whatnot. But it would basically be their fee would be like $2,600 to get us through that process and help us with all the technical things and preparing the paperwork we need to do to get that done. So,
Mr. Chair, a question on that.
yes.
Is this being so slow because there is just a large amount of paperwork to be handled, or are there some environmental or other questions that need to be answered?
Well, so the answer to your question is yes. There is a fairly big amount of paperwork to be filed and whatnot. There's also a lot of things that have to go into that. Like this, they're going to have to go back. ESS, for example, is going to have to go down and do a site survey to see what the site is like. That's basically around the dam and how that works and how far you can draw down and whatnot. Typically, I think probably what will come out of this is we'll try to draw down 30 inches like we do on Lake Quinisigamond. One, it's consistent with Lake Quinisigamond. Two, that's typically the guidance of the state. They don't want you to go down further than 30 inches. Some ponds do that. I believe Indian Lake goes down further than that. Certainly Manchog does. Otis Reservoir goes down like 8 feet. But there's a real trend now not to do that kind of drastic drawdowns. So that what you don't want to do is sterilize your pond. You don't want to turn it into a swimming pool, because then other issues can crop up like cyanobacteria and whatnot, because nowadays there's nothing to compete with them with that organism, so they can just flourish. So that's you get rid of one, you get a worse problem. So that you have to be careful with that kind of stuff. And that's not our real goal here. We just want to manage the invasives that we know will be affected by that. That's mostly Eurasian milfoil and fanwort and whatnot. But there are all those considerations, and that's what the state looks at. And they look at also, especially fisheries, like how is this going to affect that population? Because they don't want you drawing down the lake and just killing the habitat. Turtles and frogs and all that that burrow in the mud, so that they want to be very careful. And that's why when we do a drawdown, we don't really start it until November 1st, and we have to have the thing back up again by April 1st. And those are both environmental issues. Those are issues that say, well, we want to have this thing back up for the wildlife and the fish and whatnot in the pond. So all those things have to be presented, and it has to be drawn up where it meets all the criteria that the state's going to put forward to us.
Okay, the usual environmental issues, nothing special about that pond in particular that's not that's unique to that pond.
No, not really. The only concerning thing in my mind, that pond is that it's being fed into by Sewell Pond, and to the best of my knowledge, Boylston's not doing anything to address the invasive species population in Sewell Pond. So there's always that. One of the reasons we wanted to go to Newton and doing what we're doing is because Newton directly feeds into Quinisigamond. This will certainly be a buffer for us on our on the Quinisigamond side of it, but it's and that's the argument I use with Grafton in the beginning, and say that you just spent a lot of money dredging Lake Ripple, and you got milfoil coming over the dam from Lake Quinisigamond that was also in Grafton. So unless you deal with that, this is always going to be an issue. So that's one of the, that's a concerning thing in the future. We'll have to figure that out. But essentially, that's not unique to a and I think it was Mr. Polito at the time brought up a good point, is where does it stop? We keep going up the chain of lakes that connect to all these things, and the next thing you know, you're up in New Hampshire treating weeds. And so there's got to be a line there, and I think probably Newton Pond's the line we're going to, because that's the last part that's in the purview of the commission in terms of the partnership between Grafton, Shrewsbury, and Worcester. So that's fine, and we can deal with that stuff. And like I said, it's a viable buffer. But no, there's no unique thing there. There's no questionable sediment like you may find in Flint Pond, for example. It's all pretty straightforward. It's all natural. It's a beautiful pond, actually, in and of itself. But it is really overrun with Eurasian milfoil. Although the treatment we did last year really knocked it back. So it was good. It worked. But it was too late. And that's one of the things I want to address. That's why I want to address this stuff now, so that we're set up as much as we can be, so we can treat way earlier this year. I don't want to wait till August. I want to get the stuff going in April and May and June where it belongs to go. And coming up next month with the budget, you're going to also see a request to do weed mapping in both Newton Pond and Lake Quinisigamond, because we have to update our weed map. The Newton Pond one's fairly recent because we did it like 2 years ago or so, I think. And the one in Quinisigamond needs to be, that hasn't been done for like probably 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. So we need to kind of readdress that. But we want to get all those things done this time of year, the January, February, March timeframe. So when it comes to treatment time, we're more timely with that to get them out of the way. Also, you'll see moving forward, a plan to address Half Moon Cove and to continue that treatment over there if necessary. I think we actually did a really, really good job knocking that back with Procelicor last year, but it was late in the season, so we don't know. And we have to go do some follow-up at Half Moon to make sure, to go in there and see that the Potamogetans come back up again, because that was the whole premise of this, was to see if we could treat the milfoil without killing the Potamogeton or the Vasii. We didn't find Vasii in Half Moon last year, but we did find it in Old Faith. So the Old Faith Cove, I think, will probably be, I'm going to ask the state that we're able to treat there with Procelicor as well. So we, if pending a good solid test on Half Moon that we didn't kill the Potamogetans and they came back up again, I'm going to ask that we are able to treat an Old Faith to test on the actual Potamogeton that we know that's over there. So that's that. And also in Half Moon, we need to be able to deal on an ongoing basis with the water chestnut, because I know for a fact that's going to be coming up again, because I know we didn't get it all out of there. I mean, it's literally some of the seeds were in the soil in the beach when we went over there to pick that stuff out. So that's a very concerning to have that particular species in your lake. You do not want that, and you certainly don't want it to get out of control. And Jacqueline can tell you more about that, because it's they've had to deal with it in Worcester, especially at Patches Reservoir. So, does that answer your question?
Yes.
So that's kind of where we are with the permitting. I want to get the permitting started because that's a long process, and we'd like to be able to do a drawdown this season, which will be the fall. So we have to go through conservation, which will probably take 2 to 3 months, and if nothing goes astray, we don't have to hire a peer review and all that stuff. Hopefully that'll go through short. So I guess what I'm asking for is to approve the 2,600 for ESS to get started on the permitting.
Make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve such expenses to move this issue along.
Seconded.
Okay, go through the vote. Mr. Pica? Oh, no, sorry, Mr. Collins. Yes. Mr. Pica?
Yes.
Sergeant Vitos, did you get that part of the conversation?
I did. I apologize for the
Oh, no worries.
late
No
check. I did. I as well.
Okay, thank you. Betsy?
Yes.
Okay. Amanda Amory?
Aye.
Okay. Lisa Labossiere?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And Bill Nelson?
Aye.
Okay, voted unanimously. Second one is discuss and approve funding of weed mapping on Lake Quinisigamond. I'm going to actually divert that till next month when we have a budget on there. We're not going to be able to do weed mapping until the weeds come out anyway. So I'd like to let you folks have more information and have the actual proposals in front of you, if that's okay. And discuss and approve funds is the next one for bid preparations for 2022 season, the invasive species treatment on Lake Quinisigamond and Newton Pond. Actually, I made a mistake. I got these things transposed. So on A, discuss the permitting drawdown at Newton Pond. That is actually not the correct figure for that. So if possible, I'd like to kind of take that vote back. Is that something we can do, Angela?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is it more or less?
It's more. It's way more, actually. So
Just discuss the new price.
well, the thing is, I don't have the new price right in front of me, so I don't want to do that right now.
Can we make a motion to revoke our previous motion?
We can do that, yes. Did you hear that, Angela?
Yeah, so somebody just has to make a motion
To make a motion to revoke the vote.
till you get further information.
Yeah. Okay. So the motion would be to revoke, until we get further information to table the vote or revoke it.
Well, Michael made the original motion. Does he want to revoke his original motion?
I'd like to then vote to negate the vote we just took until such time as we have the full accounting of the expense for that motion.
Okay. I apologize for that. I'll make sure I get all the proper numbers for.
And I'll second Michael's second motion.
Okay. Peter Collins, aye. Mr. Pica?
Aye.
Okay. Betsy Doherty?
Aye.
Sergeant Vitos?
Aye.
Amanda Emery?
Aye.
Lisa Labossiere?
Aye.
And Bill Nelson?
Aye.
All right, thanks. So we're going to move on to number 10, and that's be an update from Jacqueline Burmeister, Senior Environmental Analyst, Lakes and Ponds, City of Worcester. Did that title get smaller, or did we get the wrong title in here?
It's
Shorter. I don't mean
like that.
smaller. I mean shorter. Not diminished in any way. Just a shorter title.
So I just have a few announcements. Am I able to share my screen?
Old Google Meet Master is
All right. So I just have a few things I wanted to share with everyone. We have a few events coming up, and actually a really interesting event that just happened. So you might not have had a chance to hear about it. So the City of Worcester staffs the Worcester Cyanobacteria Monitoring Collaborative, which is a group of volunteers trained to take water quality samples in our lakes and ponds and run them for cyanobacteria indicators. And it has been going on for about 5 years now and has been growing quite a bit. This year, we had volunteers taking samples in not just Lake Quinisigamond, but also in Flint Pond and Newton Pond, as well as a bunch of other lakes and ponds in Worcester. And we expanded the number of different parameters that we were examining. And thanks to our volunteers and all of their hard work, we've really been able to get more quantitative data that we're starting to move toward being able to make judgments about public health. We all know cyanobacteria can produce toxins, and that at a certain point, you don't want to interact with water that has them in there. So we had a public presentation sharing our data on all of those lakes, including the ones I just mentioned. We had that last Thursday. It was a huge success. If you want to see the presentation, you can go to worcesterma.gov/WCMC and see kind of what we found on those 3 lakes. And we really hope that you consider joining us, becoming a volunteer. And next year, we're hoping to expand to even more lakes in Shrewsbury. It's You don't need any experience. You don't need any money. You just need to be willing to show up once or twice a month with a water quality sample. And we could always use more volunteers on both the existing ponds that we have in the program, and we'd love to have new ponds as well. So another event that we have, speaking of ice safety and ice fishing, the city of Worcester put on an ice fishing event last year as part of our angler event series, and it was wildly popular. And so back by popular demand, we're doing an introduction to ice safety and ice fishing. We're going to have a virtual event on Wednesday, February 9th at 6:00 p.m. You could register going to tinyurl.com/woofish22. And if you register for that event and you attend, you will receive a link to register for an in-person event that will actually be on the following Saturday, the 12th, at a lake in Worcester that has been yet to be determined, but will be in Worcester. So very local friendly. So hope to see you there. It's a fabulous event. I know that they're doing one on Lake Quinisigamond as well. But the gentleman who runs these clinics is just great and a lot of fun to work with, and really wonderful instructor for people of all backgrounds with ice fishing. But this is definitely for beginners. And finally, every year we host the presentation on the results from our internal water quality monitoring, which we do at Lake Quinisigamond. We go out twice a month. We collect those water quality samples. We have those continuous monitoring buoys as well that were out all year this year, collecting data every 15 minutes. What did we find from those? These and other questions will be answered about Lake Quinisigamond at the annual State of the Lakes. We will be celebrating the fact that we are now part of the Sustainability and Resilience Department. And what does that mean for the future of our lakes and our management of them and the program? You can register using this QR code here, or once again, go to tinyurl.com/blueinthewoo2021. You do need to register to get a link. And sometimes the registration closes the day of. So I would say if you're really interested and you're not sure if you can make it, just register, get the link, and you'll be ready to go. Does anyone have any questions?
Jackie, this is Barbara. Did you post the results from the cyanobacteria talk that you gave? Did you give the PowerPoint? Is that on the?
Yeah, so the presentation is on the website.
Okay, so we can.
So if you go to worcesterma.gov/WCMC, you can see the whole presentation.
Great, because we had some inquiries, people that missed it. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Are there any questions for Jacqueline? Okay. Jacqueline, thank you. Great. That's all great stuff. Do you know when the Quinsig event is?
I'm sorry, say again? The Quinsig event? I'm not sure, but if you go to Angela knows.
Yeah, it's February 23rd, but it's sold out. We have like 50 people signed up.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sweet.
it's awesome.
They're very popular. And Jim is a really great instructor.
Right.
So, and that, does that go out in front of, where's it gonna, it's gonna be like down by the DRC, or is it? Yes.
Yeah, it'll be, so it's the same thing. You'll do the virtual, instruction, and then it'll be at either the boat ramp or the rowing center. But if for some reason the water, it's not enough ice, it might be moved to another pond in Shrewsbury.
Okay. Well, you could try Flint, because it's usually, there's been ice fishermen out here for 2 weeks now. The weekend it was, it looked like a Norman Rockwell painting out there. It looked like Wisconsin. It just there was ice fishermen all over the place and 4-wheelers, and it was pretty cool. People skating. Okay. All right. Throwing that out there. All right, so perfect. And is that it, Jacqueline?
That's what I've got for you for
Okay.
this evening.
All right,
Short and sweet.
thank you very much. It was excellent. And then an update from the Lake Quinisigamond Watershed Association. Ms. Barbara. You're muted, Barbara, I think.
Good, then you didn't hear my oven timer going off just now.
We did hear your oven timer going off, actually. You muted after that. What are you cooking? Because we have time to come over there after the meeting.
Okay, we just have a couple little things. We're wrapping up our report and our data QA/QC from our bacteria sampling we did last summer. We're getting ready to submit it to DEP, and we will be posting the report and the summary on our website. So that next couple days that'll be done. We had a very successful Santa run in December. We had a volunteer Lake resident John Sullivan who volunteered to be Santa's representative, and we collected a bunch of toys for tots. We had several people at 4 different locations around the lake, at Corazini, at the Marine Corps League, at Lake Park, and what was the fourth one? There was a fourth one, I think. Regatta. And we had a few people at every location, and the people that did come were very, they had a lot of fun, a lot of smiles, a lot of kids, and we had some good press coverage, and we collected a few toys, so it was good. So and we dropped those off at the Marine Corps League. So in keeping with that theme, Paula Collins organized that event. She did most of that work with Mike Liberty and a few other volunteers that helped at each of those locations. Dadine helped, and I don't know the other names. I should have gotten those from Paula. But I'm continuing that theme. We're going to have a Christmas in July with decorating docks, maybe a floating party. So we're going to just starting the organization. Again, Paula's going to spearhead that. And she already selected a date of July 24th. And Gia Coleman is her co-chair. They're both going to be working on that. And also Kelly Fitzpatrick said she was going to co-chair with them. And so that will be a lot of fun. And as always, we're looking for volunteers. So info@lqwa.com, and we will gladly accept any amount of time that you have. We're trying to work on some written materials to give new residents and get the rules of the lake and that sort of thing out. So that will be a subcommittee, and we're going to be kind of working on that in February. And so our next public meeting probably won't be till March, and we'll keep you posted. Thank you. That's it.
Wow. Okay. That was, again, another short and sweet presentation. I'd also like to thank Angela Snell, who helped us out with the site, and also with the Shrewsbury Fire, who came down and kept an eye on our jet skier. And, we did receive some complaints of the wild jet ski guy out there. They didn't feel it was a valid registration coming from the North Pole. So, what are you going to do? No one's ever happy. So, but it was a great event. The looks on the kids' faces were cool. At the Corazini site, I believe the Shrewsbury Fire took the Toys for Tots donations, and they brought those up to the station there, which I know they were really thankful to get. But I want to, we couldn't have done it without those guys. So thank you. And that said, I noticed Patrick was on here. Patrick, do you have anything you want to toss in there?
Nope, nothing at this point. We're planning on getting all the applications in for the spring race season for the February agenda.
Oh, you're not going to have races again this year, are you?
Sorry. 1 or 2.
One or two. So, okay, good. We'll look forward to that. And Luke, just if you're still here, are you still on this?
I am.
Okay. Anything from Regatta?
Not yet. We'll
Okay.
post it later.
All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. So to move along, I just want to set the date for the next meeting in February.
23rd.
23rd, yep.
February 23rd at 7 p.m. So, you don't want to miss that. And that said, I wanted to wait till 8 o'clock, so it had to be at least an hour. That's my rule. So I will accept a motion to adjourn if anyone has
I'll
one.
make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay.
You.
Ken's not here, so someone's got a second, I think. All right. So Peter Collins, aye. Michael Pica.
Aye.
Okay. Sergeant Vitos.
Aye.
All right. Betsy Doherty.
Aye.
Amanda Emery. You still with us? Okay, we're gonna move on to Lisa Lavoisier
Aye.
and Bill Nelson.
Aye.
All right. That's it. Thanks. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.